Ever wonder why is it that we have all the tools we need, but getting and achieving what we want seems to be so hard? Or how can we get past our laziness, stop procrastinating, and start doing the things that we ought to do? These questions can all be answered with one word, and that is... Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to introduce you to a talk by life coach, best-selling author, and TV host Mel Robbins, who in an extraordinary, uplifting talk tells us what we can do to get anything we want. Let's dive right into it. First and foremost, I would like to present you the reasons which Robbins believes prevents us from getting what we want and hinders our personal success. Candidly speaking, the author of The Hi-Fi Habit argues, one of the factors that restrains us from reaching our desires is the way we approach them. That is, despite being terribly aware that, for example, something must be done or should be changed, the majority of us would say one word, the F word. We all know this. No, not that F word, it's fine. To which Robbins contends, saying that we're fine or it is fine ultimately and merely highlights our inability to act and not be satisfied with our current situation, despite us knowing deeply in our hearts that we are lying to ourselves. Moreover, it is utterly unfortunate that simultaneously as we think that we don't have enough ideas to change the world, the main issue is, however, according to the host of the Mel Robbins show, our failure to act upon them are all due to our inner snooze button. That's to say, to be more precise, our brain has two parts, not the left and right hemisphere you're thinking of, no. Robbins calls it autopilot and emergency brake, the mechanics of which is very simple. Most of the time, our brain operates on autopilot until the point when we do something different to what we normally do, which triggers this alarm and thus causes it to pull the emergency brake on our impulses. Then eventually we will go back to autopilot again. Therefore, to break through this never-ending cycle of wanting to try something new but continuously going back to our routines, we need one thing, also starting with F, force. Namely, it is merely through force that we can stop heading back to our comfort zone, exploring new things, and do the things that have to be done. Furthermore, regarding how to force, the 53-year-old life coach demonstrated to us a practical tip that we can all use, the 5-second rule, which is to follow an idea within 5 seconds after it comes up in our brain, such that we do not, again, pull the emergency brake and restrain ourselves from doing it. Lastly, Robbins left the audience by saying, it is not the matter of a lack of ideas, rather the lack of impulses and actions. And it is merely through means of forcing ourselves to act that we can break ourselves away from our mundane habits and start to build new ones that lead us to satisfaction and success. Indeed, everything in life requires discipline, or as what Robbins calls it, force. And sometimes we just gotta brace ourselves and push through. Undoubtedly, how disciplined we are to ourselves can significantly affect how much and how fast we can succeed. Albeit, besides being committed to ourselves in order to get what we want, what is also important is to step out of our comfort zone and stop being satisfied with what we have, which is what I'm going to talk about now. Based on what Robbins has talked about in her talk, it is no surprise that nowadays a lot of us are not only accustomed to our everyday routines, but we also feel that those are the only ways to live life. In regard to this, frankly speaking, I think this is absolutely detrimental to our mental health and achieve our full potential. In other words, being satisfied with what we have, by implication, indicates that we don't have the drive to learn, explore, and improve. The very abilities that I believe we have as humans, while being part of the most crucial elements of our life, because it is what, in addition to survival, gives us purpose. Moreover, regarding our mental well-being, I don't think a life without goals, ambitions, and purpose is going to be one that's uplifting, fulfilling, and flourishing, as we cannot feel the excitement that we will experience when we accomplish a task or achieve a goal. Further, by putting ourselves out there to learn and experience new things, more than merely using the distinctive ability we have as humans, we are also concurrently allowing ourselves to explore new opportunities. On top of that, from my perspective, it is solely through opening ourselves up to possibilities that can we discover what brings us joy, what we are passionate about, and what we want. Therefore, it could then be said, in general, without stepping out of our comfort zone, we are not able to find and know what kind of life we truly want to live for, and thus live the life we truly want to live for. With respect to Robbins' talk, there is no doubt that being disciplined and pushing ourselves through are one of the many things that we should be aware of if we want to succeed. Notwithstanding, from my point of view, alongside discipline, there are two other factors that we should take into account if we wish to succeed, such as our state, method, and mindset. First of all, arguably, working towards our goals not only requires discipline, but also focus, which, in my view, can be affected directly by our mental and physical state. That is to say, in order to focus, we need to know the time when our mind and body function the best, so that we can be productive and produce good quality work. Otherwise, without knowing when we work best, we are merely wasting time and energy, as we would rather spend the same amount of time working mindlessly on a time when we can work the best instead. And that takes me to my second point, method. As for method, what is also a waste of time from my perspective is working really hard towards our goal, albeit with the incorrect approaches. Such like what I've talked about in this video on the top right hand corner of your screen. It is unquestionably crucial to put every bit of effort into our work if we want to succeed, and just do it. However, what is equally important is to constantly checking our progress and seeing if we're not just improving, but simultaneously improving towards the right direction. Additionally, if it really is the case that we realize what we are doing doesn't work or is guiding us towards the wrong path, we should stop immediately, rethink our approaches, then we're good to go again. Finally, something I believe is terribly important and what will ultimately affect the performance of our outcomes, our mindset. For mindset, I'm clearly aware of the fact that it can be a very broad and vague topic, and I also covered it on a few videos I've done before. Feel free to check it out at the end of this video. Thus, I will briefly summarize it for you in just a few sentences, yet what I think is extremely essential nonetheless. So I'm going to tell you this with my face on screen. A lot of us always think we have time and there's a long road ahead. Nevertheless, this is not even close to the truth. The truth is, we are not in control of our time, neither do we know how much time we actually have left. Our life could end in a matter of decades to maybe in a few seconds as you're watching me saying this. In short, what I'm saying is, if we cherish every minute, every second we have right now, and live every single day of our life as if it is our last, we are going to and will live the best life ever. Just as what Steve Jobs famously said, stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found this helpful. And don't hold back the impulse to comment below, turn notifications, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Wish you the best life ever, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.